What's up, guys? Camp Flip for Ship here. Just another little video today, and today's video is basically on something that I was thinking about the other day when I was talking to my girlfriend, and it's basically on the idea that so like, okay, let me set the stage for like how I imagined, like I thought of this in the first place. So I keep hitting my sleeve. So we were at the gym, and essentially she was kind of talking about, sometimes how it feels embarrassing for her. And, when you first start at the gym, it's always this situation of like, do I want to like get involved and start practicing, or do I feel more scared that I'm going to get embarrassed because people are going to see me work out? And then you kind of feel like you see people work out and you kind of think to yourself like, man, like it's not fair how like they're able to do this certain exercise and workout and I'm not able to, right? And you kind of feel like, you see other people that are able to do it and you're like, why can't I do it? And I was thinking of the day about how that's essentially like a very like ego driven like type of thing, because it's like the only reason why something is hard for you to conceptualize not being able to do, the only reason why you ever feel bad about not being able to do something is because you expect that you should be able to. And the best example of this is like, we don't necessarily judge ourselves in accordance with like, let's say for example, I told you, hey, go outside and pick up that 10,000 pound weight. Like, you would never look at yourself and say like, oh man, like I'm so disappointed in myself that I couldn't pick up that 1,000 pound weight. And so it's kind of interesting that on the opposite end of the spectrum, when you expect that you should be able to do something pretty easily, you definitely get in this position where you could get disappointed in yourself. But it's like, that means you have a very high expectation, and that means it's sort of like ego driven. If by example I told you to, hey, go and read this book or go and lose some weight, you'd say to yourself, you might get disappointed and be like, oh, I couldn't do it, because you know that you should be able to do it, or you feel like you should be able to do it. You feel like you're the type of person that should be able to do those types of things. Whereas whenever it comes down to something that's perceptively maybe a little bit, I would say, harder or easier, it changes the dynamic around it. So like, if I told you go over there and beat that elephant up with your bare hands, you'd say, I can't do that. And if you weren't able to do it, you wouldn't be disappointed. But in another situation, if there was something that you expected that you could do and you couldn't do it, then you'd be disappointed. And so that kind of goes to show that like a lot of feelings of inadequacy kind of do come from the ego, because you have an expectation of yourself, that your perception of yourself is that you're somebody that should be able to do those things. And I'm not saying that everybody who's insecure is egotistical, but what I am saying is that it's sort of like a similar type of thought process. So it is something worth kind of considering, or talking about with yourself, and kind of thinking like, why do I feel like I should be able to do this or do that? Like if flip, and the way it applies to flipping is like, if I told you to hit double scissor on your first day of flipping, well then you'd probably be like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm obviously not going to be able to do that. And if you weren't able to do it, you try and you're not able to do it, you wouldn't really necessarily be disappointed in yourself. You'd more so just kind of be like, I have trouble with that one. You'd more so just be like, well, that's kind of just the way that it is. But for the same thing, you try to hit a behind the eight ball when you're first practicing, and it's been, I don't know, a couple days. I haven't done a behind the eight ball in a while. Try it again. It's been a couple days and you're like, man, I just can't get it down. You might be like thinking, oh man, I suck or whatever. And what you don't realize is that you sort of kind of like placating your own ego, because you're thinking to yourself like, I should be able to do this. I'm the kind of guy who should be able to do this. And that's the only reason why you feel disappointed that you can't do it, right? Because how could you feel disappointed that you can't do something that you knew you can't do? You only feel disappointed when you can't do something that you feel like you should be able to do. So by changing the way that we perceive our expectations around things that we do, we can feel less insecure about our inadequacies around those types of things. And so the more that expectations begin to be more accurate, the more that we can sort of reach that position in that place where we don't feel inadequate or insecure about those types of things. And so it's just another way to reframe the thinking around the issue. And it's not necessarily like, this is not like groundbreaking shit. I'm just letting you guys know what I was thinking about and kind of how it can apply to yourself and your flipping experience. Because if you're somebody who's been flipping, whoa, almost cut myself, been flipping for a while, and you have expectations around where you should be in this hobby, you might want to reassess those expectations, because those expectations can often come subconsciously. So if you feel like you're not good enough in some sort of way or some sort of capacity, and this applies to all aspects of life, you might want to consider where exactly you feel like you should lie, and then whether or not if that's objectively realistic for the average person. Because again, somebody almost got into an accident in this apartment complex. But again, it all kind of applies to, or it all sort of works in the same type of system. So just a little thought for the day, just a little gaff, a little goof, a little something to get your brain stimulated. I haven't made a video in a sec, so I figured I would make one. But yeah, that's all I had. Rock on.